Eyes on Longmont, offering a diversity of topics about our community that will inform and entertain you. We invite you to sit back and enjoy this edition of Eyes on Longmont.
The Dougherty Museum houses a collection of antique automobiles, trucks, tractors, and musical instruments. It is located on Highway 287 about a mile south of Longmont. In the early 1970s, the Dougherty family decided to open their private collections to the public. In 1974, they began construction of a 29,000 square foot building which was completed in 1977. It is now open during the months of June, July, and August on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It is also the site of the annual Yesteryear Farm Show, which is held the last weekend in August. The show features working displays of antique tractors and farm machinery, steam engines, stationary engines, threshing and baling demonstrations, blacksmithing, spinning and weaving, etc. Today, we will be looking at the agriculture machinery. Join us as we go inside.
Hello, my name is Doug Dougherty. Welcome to the Dougherty Museum. Joining me today is my good friend Bob Howard. Bob, today we're going to give a little more information about various machines in the museum.
And here's an example of one of them.
Bob, this is a 1867 Concord Stagecoach. This coach is numbered 173. We found the number on it in numerous places under its restoration. And the New Hampshire Historical Society acquired all the Abbott Downing Company records. Abbott Downing is the company that built these coaches in Concord, New Hampshire. This coach was one of an order of 10 in 1867 that was shipped west. And I don't know where it ran at first, but some of its later runs was Fairplay to Breckenridge was its last route. We do know that. That was about 1910. So it served a 45-year life. The coach sat at Tiny Town, which was a little amusement park up by Morrison for many years out in the weather, and deteriorated. When my father acquired it, the body was here in pieces, but it was very rotted out. A man named Hans Borning in Longmont, he lived on 7th Avenue. He was a retired cabinet maker and boat builder, and he was an expert at steaming and bending wood. I don't believe there's hardly 2 or 3 straight pieces in this coach. Everything's got a slight bow to it, big bows here. There's 7 different kinds of wood were used in its original manufacture, so that's what they did when they put it back together. Ash being one of the popular ones. The running gear under here, the front axle and stuff was ash. It was, I've been told, a strong wood as oak and lighter. So a lot of ash was used on these carriages. About the only original pieces on this coach are those 3 main beams. The rest of it was rotted out. We had new wheels made, but these are the original boxings and axles. And new tires put on. So they're solid as brand new, which they are. Tourists, souvenir hunters over time had taken different pieces off of it. For some reason they like to cut this leather out and take pieces. When we got the coach, it was hanging on one thickness here. I think there's 7 of them there. It was all that was left. It was hanging.
So the whole coach kind of hangs on those leather straps.
And
That's pretty amazing.
It has this rocking motion. And I read that it was partly for the rider's benefit, but it was really for the horses. It took the shock waves off the horses. Instead of being spring-sprung, rocking straight up and down, it had a rolling motion to it. Something like a ship. You have this big leather boot back here for storage. You had storage on top. They had a footrest that came across here. Some people could sit up there and rest their feet here facing backwards. The same up front. The driver and shotgun guard, if necessary, sat here. There was people sat up there with their feet between the driver and the shotgun guard. And 9 people inside. So they loaded these up, needless to say.
Wow.
So they were heavy duty to stand the roads, and like out here in the mountains, you're on the rock, going up these trails into the canyons and stuff. There's a picture in some magazine of Boulder taken at the gold rush period when everybody was in a hurry to get up to the canyon. And there must be 15 to 20 people on one of these with gear piled all over it and 4 horses. I'm thinking, pull this rig up Boulder Canyon with all that weight on it. It was hard on the horses. But the coaches obviously could take it. They were so well built. They sold 9 seats inside. This folded up so that you could get access to the back seat. We have a leather strap here for a backrest for these people. The back seats and front seat are fairly comfortable. When we were restoring this, we found out that the Wells Fargo Bank in San Francisco, their main office, had an original that was still in excellent condition. My dad and I went out there and were allowed to get in it, access it, photograph the leather patterns, the trim and the ceiling, so we could duplicate it as close as possible. This was a favorite piece of my dad. He put a lot of sweat equity into it himself, and he always enjoyed working on it and the history it represented.
Very nice.
This lever,
That's the brakes?
that's the brake. You have to have a foot on here to push these into the wheels. These leather straps I mentioned were missing, so with Dad being kind of creative and a recycler, I guess before that term was used, took old heavy harness and made these straps, planed them down, so each one so they glue together to be the same thickness. Spent a lot of time doing that job.
Wow.
Now you never know the difference if they're not original.
A wood block on a steel tire.
Yep. Tire is the right word. That's what
Yep.
these were called. These were heated up, expanded, and then put on the wood wheel. When they cooled, they shrank. And that's what made that tire, the wheel, tight and kept it together. And if they got really loose, they'd heat them up, take a little section out, weld it back together, go through the process again. And I imagine running these over rock roads, that might have happened once in a while.
The blacksmith also had a tire shrinker,
Yeah.
and it was a crimper that they'd heat the tire up, put it in there, pull that, it would squeeze the tire, make a dimple in it.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Underneath is one of the tongues that went in here for the first team, and then they had other bars that went out there. 6-horse team was common on these for the long distance work. We have never put live horses on it. My dad was afraid, well, you know, horses aren't worked every day. Now you take a team out at pasture, put them on, the last thing you wanted was a runaway issue.
Yeah, you don't want to. You want to break it.
You work horses every day, then you have some confidence in them. But when they're worked infrequently, it's a little iffy sometimes. And I remember Dad talking about when he was a kid growing up, runaway horse team or a single horse was something that happened.
Oh yeah.
That was one advantage I've been told of donkeys or mules. They might get surprised and spooked by something, but a few 100 yards or 100 yards down the road, they decided the threat was over and they'd stop. Some horses would just go crazy and literally run off. Couldn't stop them. These are side curtains rolled up here. They'll roll down, they feed through these eyelets. You tie them down to keep rain out. There's actually a glass window in each door. the strap is going on this one, but that pulls up and hooks. So you actually have a glass window here.
Wow.
So they could be made fairly all weather. And again, the big boot and back was a covered storage area. And you see pictures of them, there's trunks piled on top. Most of the gear was carried up there. And Bob, you might enjoy looking at that. That's hand blacksmithing work, all that railing up there. That was here, that hadn't disappeared. And so you got a handhold there to get up with. And
Those rails are punched through, and
Yeah.
and so are the uprights. They're punched, and then the rod strings through the holes. Neat.
I'd like to thank you for visiting today the Dougherty Museum. We're open in the summertime, the 3 months, June, July, and August, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And our hours are 11 to 5. And we hope to see you come visit and get more information. If you have any questions on this equipment, we have a good staff here who can help answer questions. I want to thank Boulder County again for providing us in their tax work-off program, so they have people here who are docents and can man the desk, and it really helps the family in keeping it open 3 days a week during the summer, where your season is usually 13 weeks. I also want to thank Bob for helping me out today. And Bob's the main cog, one of the main cog wheels of the farm show that happens every August. I believe it's the weekend before Labor Day. It's a 3-day show we have here on the field north of the museum. And we have usually a couple hundred tractors or so come in and various other things to see. So it's really quite an interesting show, and a lot of educational people can actually see this stuff working, which is a lot better than just a static display sometimes. So, again, thank you for visiting, and hope to see you come visit the museum in the future.